So it's been a rough couple of weeks for Super Sentai, I will admit that. It's had a rough month, or rough couple of months, I will say that, because we're in December right now. It's been one story after another, one controversy after another, and recently we found out that Gojuja will be the last Super Sentai airing, and it will be replaced by Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity. So there was this article that came out from Live Door News, a Japanese article, that I'll definitely go over on the channel. And if you want to read it for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description down below. So that way you're not just basing your opinion on the title of the video, or if you want to check out the article for yourself, you can. I'll leave a link for it in the description down below, and I'll try to pin it in the comment section for you guys to read yourselves. So I won't go over the entire article because the entire article talks about the history of Super Sentai and stuff like that and their changes moving forward, which I'm not fully sort of ingrained within the Toku community. I mostly cover Power Rangers. I'm knowledgeable here and there in Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, but I don't know the ins and outs like most people within the community, I will admit that. I give my opinion, it's not always the best opinion, but this part of the article has a lot of people within the Power Rangers fandom talking. So this is coming from Battle Up Saber, where they sort of translated the part of the article that has a lot of people talking. And I'll read the part of the article that leads into it. So basically, this part of the article asks, why are Sentai toy sales the only ones with low sales? Sorry, why are Sentai toys the only one with low sales? Sorry, it's translated from Google, so it's a little bit wonky. So this is coming from one of the writers of Super Sentai, I believe, and they say this. So this is basically what the question was. So why is Sentai series toys in a loose position compared to other superhero toys? So this is a really interesting question. So this, I'm going to weigh in with my opinion here. So the Super Sentai series was remade in 1993 under the title Power Rangers. Ooh, I wonder what that is about. The rights to manufacture the toys were initially held by Bandai Namco of Japan, and Power Rangers became a global hit, and the toys sales, including domestic series, exceeded 20 billion yen, securing sales that were on par with the current Kamen Rider and Ultraman. Oh, that's interesting. Now this is the kicker. This is the part that everyone is talking about. However, in 2018, Hasbro, a major American toy manufacturer, bought the manufacturing rights for the toy sales outside of Japan and Asia, causing Bandai Namco to lose significant amount of sales of Power Rangers-related toys. So this is why when you see certain articles posted by Hasbro by saying, oh, they'll release toys in this part of the world except for Japan and Asia, it's because Sentai Bandai was mostly focusing on the Sentai stuff, and this explains why. This triggered a sudden halving of sales, leading to the current situation, the only one to lose out, says Tane or Tane. Incidentally, according to Bandai Namco's financial statements for 2017, before the rights were acquired by Hasbro, worldwide sales of Super Sentai toys, including Power Rangers, totaled to 21 billion yen for the year. Domestic sales alone were 8.8 billion yen. So those were pretty decent numbers, it sounds like 21 in total if you count the Power Ranger sales and the Bandai Japan sales. But then on their own, domestically, it was like 8.8 billion sales in Japan, which was concurrent with the sales of Kamen Rider and Ultraman. It seems that the fact that the American company took away all the rights, including toys, was a fatal event that set it apart from other superhero works. So a lot of people are making the argument that, Hasbro killed Super Sentai and stuff like that, or Hasbro's to blame. You could say that. I don't want to point fingers. Did Hasbro sort of buying out the rights from Bandai and sort of working on their own toys probably do a number on Bandai in Japan over there? Most likely, yeah. Probably. I don't know. I'm not an expert at this stuff. But it sounds like that when Hasbro took over the rights for the toys and Bandai wasn't doing them, where they were doing Power Ranger toys as well as Super Sentai toys, where Bandai was mostly focusing on Sentai and, Hasbro was doing their own thing, Bandai took a bit of a nosedive, it sounds like. So Mr. Tane continues pointing out by saying, now this is the interesting part, which is something we kind of know about as well. And I do wonder where they're going to go moving forward with stuff like Garvan and Project Red. So we are currently working on simultaneously worldwide distribution of Kamen Rider series and expected we will begin fully development in the overseas markets from now on. So they want to focus on Kamen Rider being marketed overseas. That's great. Hopefully the sales can do well overseas because, Kamen Rider is kind of a niche audience in a way because there's like the hardcore Kamen Rider fans who will mostly buy the stuff. So hopefully they can market towards the kids as well. Ultraman has also been increasingly popular in China in recent years and is beginning to develop an overseas market. So that's true as well. On the other hand, Sentai series had been successful expanding overseas in the early 90s. So that's true. So the early 90s was when Power Rangers was king back in the day, and Power Rangers toys sold like hotcakes. But losing a valuable source of income from the overseas toy market along the way was a major blow. So, yeah, take that with what you want, because, like I said, you can probably blame Hasbro for the death of Super Sentai, and you can most likely blame Hasbro for the death of Power Rangers of how they've been treating it. But this does sort of open your eyes a little bit with why sort of like sales went pretty low for Bandai back in the day moving forward. Some series did better than others, but when, Hasbro and Hasbro took the rights away, then there was that split. But then Chris, Deafy Chris, friend of the channel, friend of the show, gave this, take this with a pinch of salt. I want to say take this with a pinch of salt, but I trust their sources. But Chris said, important note to add to this, and this is a big game changer. But I even though I said take this with a pinch of salt, I trust Chris. Chris said this, important note to add to this. I was told by former Bandai people that Bandai was offered the rights for Power Rangers before Hasbro, but Bandai declined. So Bandai could have kept working on the toys possibly. We found out from the execs at other toy companies as early as summer of 2017 that Bandai was on the way out with Power Rangers. Okay, so I guess Bandai was on their way out with Power Rangers back then. Granted, it wasn't explicitly stated, but implied via whispers and vague private comments. I don't believe I got a concrete information that Bandai was done with PR and it was going to Hasbro I don't believe I got concrete information that Bandai was done with PR and it was going to Hasbro till a few days before the Toy Fair in 2018. And then Chris went on to say by saying, yes, I got my ass chewed for this story, but both my own boss as well as Saban, but hey, they played favorites, so I said, fuck it, now you can't ignore us. Okay, so people go on to question this, where Demon Seal 1 said, holy shit, if that's true, that was dropping the ball. Like, they could have started dubbing Super Sentai and slap a Power Ranger sticker on it and save some money, I'm sure. And then Chris said, this is a whole other rabbit hill to go down, but it was rather shocking how much Bandai US operates as a company that just happened to have the Bandai name versus being an extension of the Japanese side. Okay. And then Damien 3058 went on to say, as much as I want to say Bandai dropped the ball hard here, the fact that sustainability was an issue for so long made me wondering if they opted out precisely because they felt Power Rangers wasn't going to last, probably why they never bothered to get it since. And then Chris went on to say by saying, I mean, we saw how poorly the 2017 movies sold, right? Which true, those toys for the 2017 movie sold terribly. And how their items were shelf warming and how they almost had 100% turnover from 2016. No way they could have managed the entire brand. They struggled at the end just by doing toys. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's some I won't read all of the replies that Chris did. I could go on forever. But, yeah, what are your thoughts on this story? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions because there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to say. I'll leave the original article in the link in the description down below and in the comment section down below. I'll pin it. I know I didn't give the most hot take on this story. I just gave my thoughts reading this article. I mean, it's a lot to take in. It's a very opinionated piece of article, whether you want to point fingers at Hasbro or Bandai or someone right now. But I'll let you guys decide, the viewers, and we'll go from there. So with that said, I will catch you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.